Kia ora, and welcome to another edition of the Geodorable podcast with your hosts Chris Morris and Mark Thompson. For more information on this episode, visit the Geodorable page on Facebook.
Hey there, Chris.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Good. Hey, hello, listeners. How are you guys going tonight? Or today, or wherever this podcast finds you?
I don't think I'm going to answer, or at least not straight away.
Well, no, but they do get in touch. So this is Geodorable, the world's greatest geospatial podcast.
It is indeed all things mappy and techie and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, and we are also on the YouTube now.
There we are.
Which is a part of our technical issues.
Constant technical issues. I do worry.
Yeah. But now we're on the YouTube, and we're on your normal podcasting app, and then we're also on the Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook.
Yeah. You can kind of get us in so many ways and enjoy us in so many ways, Mark.
You can indeed, Chris. And before we, give you too many ways, we better put in the disclaimer that this podcast, or the views and opinions on this podcast, are often said in a satirical manner or way, and don't reflect the people we work for or work with or know.
Yeah, that's worse than usual.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. I thought we just wanted to disclaim in case your kids listen and you abuse the birthday present they gave you.
No, not at all. Can you abuse socks? I don't know.
I'm sure you can abuse anything.
Sure.
What's wrong with the socks, Chris?
No, the socks are fine. The socks. They have pictures of beer on them, and it says beer o'clock. And all the cards they gave me were beer related. I just feel perhaps that my kids feel that I drink a lot of beer, which isn't actually true.
No, only when you're podcasting.
Well, yeah, you've got to have something to get you through the day, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I usually preload to try and get me through this night.
Yeah, sure. What have you preloaded on this evening?
Actually, strawberries and ice cream. Because it is strawberry season in New Zealand, which seems to be getting longer and longer.
It's just getting tough, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm on a bit high on sugar. So we're looking forward to an exciting podcast of news and views and a topic of the week.
Yeah, totally.
Shall we get into the news then?
Let's.
Spatial news.
Now, Chris, something that is truly super duper is there is a new ArcGIS API for JavaScript.
Yeah, so I mean, there seems to be a new something from every couple of weeks, and this week it's the turn for the API for JavaScript. This is version 4, so we're on 4.13 at the moment, and big fan of the JavaScript API. It's been doing some really nice things for it.
Yeah, it's getting better and better, and this one's even betterer than the betterer ones before.
Yeah, so as you can see here, there's improved 3D rendering, which is always nice. 3D is becoming more important.
It is, and it's also becoming lighter, which is really good. In the good old days, you kind of had to have a plugin and lots of nasty stuff for a 3D renderer.
Yep.
Now you don't.
No, that's true. Unless you're running IE kind of 6, which
I don't think anyone is.
I like this. This is swiping or swiping. That's for everybody who has young children and enjoys watching Dora the Explorer.
Which is out on movies, if you.
It is, isn't it? There should be a movie show. We could. No, that's would have been done. Actually.
There's a lot of movie shows, but there's no geospatial show like this one.
Definitely not.
So, yeah, measurement tool, whoop-de-doop-de. Widgets. Yeah, I'm not a fan of widgets.
You're not a fan of widgets?
No.
In general?
Yeah, actually, in general.
How are you expecting tools to work?
Well, I expect them to not force me down a user experience that is very mapping centric.
Okay. I do find with widgets, because each one is developed by somebody else, they lack a certain look and feel, like a kind of consistent look and feel.
Yeah, and then getting your widgets to talk to other widgets is also interesting. But yeah, so I suppose look at the release notes, play with it.
Yeah. Point Cloud now supports pop-up players, which is nice.
Yeah, again, pop-ups. Oh, and widgets.
Oh, come on, that actually looks, JavaScript 4 pop-ups look an awful lot nicer.
Great. I'm sure Bernie will be releasing some blogs about how you can make them even prettier.
I'm sure that is the case. Shall we move on with other exciting news items, Matt?
Yes, we should.
Spatial news.
Now, Chris, we've talked last time, or a few times now, about how story maps, which are now called experiences, is that right?
No.
You can actually get in the code, and you've been able to add your own Google Analytics.
You can indeed, and everybody, wants to know how many people are, looking at their story map or watching their YouTube channel. And Google Analytics, what a fantastic way of being able to manage that.
Yes, I'm not sure this is actually a surprise to anyone, but it is, I suppose, a good reminder.
I think it's just if you want to get feedback, then it's quite nice that story maps are now kind of supporting Google Analytics in a good way.
Yeah, I think the challenge here, I feel a little bit pessimistic tonight. Need more sugar.
Okay.
The challenge is that you actually need to build it into all your widgets and everything like that to know what people are doing on the map, rather than just, hey, it's the map page is loaded.
Yeah, sure, but then that's the kind of analytics you're looking for. How are people using it?
Yeah, but I suppose I'm saying that you've got to do a lot more customization.
Yeah, sure.
To get actually really useful information.
Well, isn't it one of those things, if you want the most out of something, then you have to invest in it.
Oh, that is true.
Okay, moving on.
Spatial news.
Chris, New Zealand story, kind of.
Kind of New Zealand story, other than the person who wrote the story actually grew up in New Zealand. That's about the strength of New Zealand relationship. But actually, it's much more about using mapping through, in this case, map our planet's protected areas.
So what's special about this, Chris?
Well, we have the world database of protected areas.
Where's that stored?
Somewhere.
Right. Is that part of this blockchain thing? It's just stored on other people's devices?
Could be, not sure. But really, the article is just about bringing these world protected areas into the Living Atlas and being able to query and kind of use those layers within, maybe a story map, maybe a web map, whatever else that you're using. Any comments from you, Mark, or is that it? You need that strawberry here.
No, I'm just going great. Yep, super.
Okay, cool. So if the thing is, I tend to find that lots of geographers and people in the geos profession, they have a special affinity with the environment, and I think it's a nice story.
That is true.
Spatial news.
Now, something that does get even more exciting, Chris. Tokyo.
And it's in the news quite a bit at the moment. I mean, okay, there was a nasty hurricane or typhoon that whipped through recently, but it's also the Rugby World Cup.
Yes, and so condolences if you're a Scottish supporter.
Or an Irish supporter.
Or an Irish supporter.
Or a French.
Yep. And also
Wales, actually, because that was a terrible performance.
Yep. And also, to be prophetic, is apologies if you're an England supporter. You're gonna have to dig deep to try and match the All Blacks in that. But we're not actually talking about the World Cup.
We're not. We're talking about this new little web map, Mini Tokyo, I switch to the live view here. So,
Well, this is awesome. We're live streaming a live stream of Tokyo trains.
We are. It's fantastic.
So what can you see on the map, Chris, for those who are actually listening?
Well, in this case here, I am tracking in real time, near real time, a train that's that's running through Japan, in Tokyo at the moment.
On the blue line.
On the blue line, yes.
Yeah, so this is a really cool map. It's nice and fast. It shows you trains moving. I mean, they look a bit like containers.
Yeah, sure. It's not the most, not that much effort has gone into making the trains look nice, but I don't reckon you need to.
No, I don't think you do either. I think if you're looking for a great example of live tracking on a map, there are great examples, but this is so nice and practical. Even the way they've got their lines so they don't overlap.
Yeah, and like all good maps, you can. This is their underground, so you can drive underground as well. I really like it.
It's funky.
Funky. Yeah.
So are we going to play on this for a bit longer, or should we go to the next story?
We should probably go to the next story. It's just I was quite interested to see where that train ends up.
Spatial news.
Now, Chris, we started off the podcast talking about your drinking habits.
Unfairly.
And those drinking habits, they were developed in your native homeland of England.
They were indeed. And this is a fabulous website for anybody visiting the UK and wanting to embark on an old-fashioned pub crawl. And what I like about this is the combination of beer and some modern routing algorithms to enable you to work out what the most appropriate pub crawl would be between various pubs across the UK.
Yeah. Now, I spent some time in the UK and lived in Cambridge. The beauty of Cambridge is it has 130 pubs.
Okay, very nice.
And they're all very close to each other. So you just needed to stumble anywhere and you could find one.
What I like about this also is that they have done the largest pub crawl possible. So they have basically worked out what the route you would need to take to visit every single pub in the UK, Ireland, I think Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Massive pub crawl. But if that's something you're into, then this is the website for you.
Yeah, well, you can also sort by pub names.
What was your other pub called?
I can't actually remember. The one I went to most often was the Cambridge Blue.
There you go. So my local was the Railway Tavern, which so named because it was near a railway, which is no longer there, which makes it quite weird to be called the Railway Tavern without any sign of railway. Yeah.
So another great map. This one's made in Mapbox.
I believe so, yes.
And I don't know, what do we really like about it apart from pubs, Chris?
Well, I like the smarts that are behind it. I mean, what a fantastic use of routing algorithm.
Do you think they're looking for a backer so they can, actually sponsor their data capture, i.e., going to these pubs?
I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. But I'm not going to play this video because it seems to be killing things. Anyway, it's worth checking out the greatest pub crawl you can ever imagine.
Spatial news.
Now, Chris, the Ordnance Survey.
Or in this case, the Witches of Scotland. Do pay attention, Mark. Do pay attention.
Sorry, I missed that. And I see what's happened.
Yes.
Witches of Scotland. So we're going from drinking in England to witching in Scotland.
Yeah, it's not too far of a jump, really. And our regular listeners will probably note that we do like to drop in a few little bit news items that perhaps aren't the most topical. I mean, witches, there haven't been that many witches in Scotland. Well, as far as I know, quite a while. They've probably gone underground, But basically, what this map does is it has located the 4,000 men and women accused of being witches in Scotland in the 16th to 18th centuries.
Yeah, it seemed quite a popular thing to do. So, as you say, 4,000 of them. And you can scroll along, lovely icons, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can scroll around the map and see where these witches, and we're using that term lightly, witches were caught, I suppose, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and if we zoom into Edinburgh here, because I'm sure Edinburgh was a popular witches hotspot.
You mean a haven?
Yes, perhaps. We can see here that Janet Boyman, she was hung, or whatever they did to her.
Brilliant. Oh, that's pleasant.
Yeah, it's good to know.
It's not a lot of like 48 witches, or let's say 50 in Edinburgh compared to other places, considering the size of Edinburgh. Have well, half that, but that's massive because they're in the nowhere of nowheres.
Well, I'm not a witch finder general. I haven't been for a long time, but I believe didn't your average witch finder just go along to various villages and they would earn their money by identifying witches? So it was actually in their interest to find witches.
Well, yeah, or an interest not to find witches. But Stirling had 30 witches.
Well, perhaps there was something special about Stirling. I don't know.
Oh, there is. It's a lovely city.
Well, there you go. If you are a witch and you're listening to this podcast or watching on video, great.
Brilliant. We support all diversities.
Absolutely. Whatever you're witching is very, very supportive. Just don't turn me into a toad. Turn Mark into a toad. People will barely know the difference.
Sorry, is that the humour we're going to end on?
No? Well, yes. Yes.
Spatial news.
We have one last story.
We do, and it's a New Zealand story, and it's terrible news, Chris. Terrible, terrible news.
Go on then, tell our dear listeners and watchers why you believe it's so terrible.
Well, the government, Chris, they're mining our cell phone or mobile phone data.
Are they? Are they really?
Well, no.
No.
No, but that doesn't stop hack journalists from making up a story. Referred to disclaimer before. But this story popped up on the Radio New Zealand, which is our government-sponsored radio. And they're saying that basically the government is spying on you. But what they actually, when you get to the detail, they're just saying, well, actually the government, or the stats department, is buying your data off all the telecom companies, which anyone else could do anyway. And then they're just recording where you are.
So the interesting thing about this article is that I met with Stats only a few weeks ago to talk about this exact topic. Well, I won't go into it in too much detail, but it was really, really interesting talking with them. Privacy is obviously something that they are very concerned about.
Sorry, privacy?
Yeah, privacy. Something they're obviously very concerned about and doing pretty much everything in their power to ensure that privacy is maintained. And to be fair, Stats have got quite a lot of experience of doing that with the census and so forth. So what they're actually trying to do is they're bringing together data providers in the terms of our I think we've discussed this before, but we only have 3 telco providers in New Zealand. 4?
Well, we only have 3 networks, don't we?
Yeah.
But they sell different
Yes.
products on the same network.
And anyway, the two biggest ones are signed up providing some data, which is then anonymized, etc., 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 and just allows you to kind of look at how the general population is moving around the country.
Yeah. So it's not the end of the world.
It's not, no.
It's very much anonymized.
Yep.
As much as this stuff can be, I'm presuming there's putting some sort of grouping or clustering on it. Because some parts of New Zealand are fairly rural.
It's done by statistical area, S2, if you really want to know.
Can I download that data set?
No.
Shame. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know, not as scary as it's made out, but again, just to reiterate, you are being tracked.
Well, you're not.
Well, you are, but they're anonymizing it and grouping it up.
Nothing. What are you? Yeah.
Okay.
That was Mark. That was our news.
That was our news. Yeah, lots of interest articles. There's probably not a lot of techie stuff going on, which is I don't know if we're coming into the cool of the Northern Hemisphere winter. If things are slowing down.
Could be, maybe. I don't know. It's, sometimes it's a slow news week, Mark. That's all.
All right, so now we're going to hit the topic of the week.
Okay.
Topic of the week.
With that big bass thumping music.
Yes. Well, you need something, don't you?
I'm sure. So the topic for the week is what's the word? Motivated by a blog post we've read.
Yeah, I guess so.
And we've surmised it basically that the future of mapping lies in beer and curried sausages.
Is that where it ended up?
Pretty much.
I'm okay with that.
Yes. You've. It's good you've expressed your drinking on this podcast.
People are so going to get the wrong idea about me. So go on then, Mark. Set the scene.
Set the scene. I suppose it's a continuation of the how do you say it? Enterprise taking over the spatial platform. Is that a good way to put it, Chris?
Yeah, I guess so. It's the. I think there's two elements here. Has spatial done enough as an industry to kind of to enable it to continue as it does, or is large enterprise systems set to kind of supersede it and just consume it? Is spatial still special? I think it's kind of really what we're saying here.
Yeah, and we've been saying for ages that spatial is not really special until it is special.
Yeah, we've been very clear on that.
Yeah, from the start.
Yeah, it's only special when it needs to.
And that consumer-based mapping has really removed the need for a spatial specialist. Until you get to problems where only specialists know what they're doing.
And that's very much the point. I think yes, the consumer mapping means that lots of people can knock out a map, no problem, or can put their data on top of a map. But it's when you actually need to understand what you're seeing and why you're seeing it that you need someone who's got a bit more qualifications than a kind of I don't know, more of your consumer. And how does that impact on our industry? And has our industry done enough to kind of kind of combat that? We've kind of from Esri we've got the science of where, right? We're trying to make the where more scientific. But has that really worked?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it has.
Well, yeah, I'd say no. We've had guests before who have pointed out some of the issues of making the where a science, because again puts it in a box.
Indeed, yeah.
And that has major implications. Some interesting observations that you turn up to a spatial conference and everyone there is spatialists.
Yep.
But to be fair, you turn up to a heart surgeon conference and everyone there is heart surgeons. It's not, it's not that unusual to have a specific industry conference. I think if you turned up to an analytics conference and they had people there from the spatial industry and BI and visualization and that sort of thing, then that would be more broader. But because you turn up to a mapping conference, you kind of expect mappers to be there.
You do, I think, though, particularly in New Zealand, I guess. Our conferences here tend to be dominated by, the major vendor, Esri in our case. And so, say you turn up to a mapping conference. On the whole, you don't turn up to a mapping conference, you turn up to an Esri conference. And the people there tend to be Esri users. So it was the New Zealand Spatial Excellence Awards just last week, Thursday, I believe it was.
It was.
You were there, I was there.
Who wasn't there, Chris? It was the place to be.
It was the place to be. And actually, it's one of the few occasions across the industry in New Zealand, at least, where people from all walks of vendorship attend. So it's, it's not
consumption.
Say again?
Consumption.
Yeah. So it's not just your Esri users, it's your Mapbox, your whoever else,
Well, it's not.
Okay, it tends to be Esri and Hexagon, but and a few others.
A few others.
But it was, I think as we talked about when we were there, you get to see a different crowd to some extent, because the Spatial Excellence Award also includes surveyors amongst their ranks.
Yeah.
And on the whole, surveyors tend not to attend GIS conferences.
No, that's because they're a bit too lively. I think the problem, one of the issues that the industry faces, and this is where the article or the blog was pointing out, is that it's still the room of the converted. It's in the Spatial Excellence Awards, apart from one, I think, which was very clever. They weren't a mainstream mapping. Actually, they weren't a mapping company really at all. But everyone else was from mapping. You kind of look at it and go, well, where's the company who have gone, oh, we want to add a map, but it's not necessarily the main part of what we're doing.
Sure. Well, I think the answer to that is that those people wouldn't know about the awards. And so therefore wouldn't attend. Also, I don't know, maybe I could argue if you're just adding a map to your enterprise that's not necessarily award worthy. Yeah.
You don't want to mock it till someone's submitted it, Chris, and then you mock it all you want. But is that not part of the problem, is that we're building our own club here?
Yeah, totally.
And that we're not involving others. We're not inviting. We're not being inclusive, Chris.
Because we've just been very inclusive with witches. I don't think you can blame us for a lack of inclusivity. In a weird way, I work for consultancy. My job is about inclusivity. It's about bringing mapping to the people who need it.
Yeah, but you see,
I think need it.
Well, who can afford it?
Sure.
But whereas I work for a customer-driven company, commercial company, and the map is not the driver, right? We're actually after trying to sell a product or products profitably. So the map is an enabler. So you can't come in there selling the map. You sell the customer benefits of the map and how it's going to increase profit.
So where does the enterprise fit into that then?
The Starship, I'm not sure. Sorry, a little bit of Star Trek humor there.
And it just went straight over my head. I didn't even. It was. Sorry, carry on.
As an aside, my son is very good at doing the Vulcan sign, but he doesn't know really what it means.
I can be very good at it.
Okay,
he can do it, or you can't.
Okay, so he can do it very well. Some people can do it and they get their fingers are sort of spaced out and that sort of thing. His fingers are nice and tight, apart from the.
Is that good or bad, Mark? I can't.
No, your thumb's in the wrong place.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it supposed to be?
that's better. No,
That's-
closer.
No.
No. And for those who
Okay, I don't care.
can't see, Chris is now doing the Vulcan sign badly. But back to where does it fit in the enterprise? I think because people spend so much money on the enterprise, and we're talking about enterprise ERP software, etc., that because they can add it as an extra, let's say, licensing layer, it's a better investment than in a completely different silo where you have integration problems. Because that's the problem, there's some big taglines there about the system of record and that sort of thing. When in reality, the spatial database is not the place where transactions happen on these enterprise objects.
Excuse me. I think it's that assumption that the GIS has all the answers.
Yes, it's an asset management system, right? So yeah, this is, I suppose, a good thing that the enterprise will bring more mapping out of the what do you call it? The silo.
But you need to have that enterprise system in the first place, which large organizations certainly, but smaller organizations are unlikely to.
Yeah, but this is where I think so one of the big game changers in ERP has been SAP HANA database, which is an in-memory database, which is super duper fast. I've had a play. You can do some amazing queries. Hundreds of thousands of records returned in under a second. It's super cool.
Yeah.
It also is super expensive. Well, pricing may vary. Talk to your salesperson. But what that means, I think, is that other companies like Microsoft and perhaps open source will be working on their own in-memory databases. And now they all support spatial data. You're going to see within, the next year, because we're moving so fast, a plethora of new in-memory databases that will make spatial analysis much, much, much faster.
Is this indictment upon, let's just go with the traditional geospatial companies, in terms of them not developing their own in-memory database?
I don't know. I suppose they would if they could, but they would. They're all moving out of the database space.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true.
Hexagon have been out of there for a long time. They've been big supporters of Oracle, SQL, MSQL, Access. They've been really independent of databases for a long time. Esri are still quite tight. They like to put their little Esri logic in there.
They do, yeah.
I'm trying to think. Who else is there? Mapbox obviously don't care. Google don't really care. Here don't really care. So no, I would say there's no space. Well, it's probably not a good business model to go designing your own spatial data engine.
Well, I guess it kind of comes down to how that spatial information is managed within whatever the system is. And if you look at Esri, there are certain proprietary factors that they include, and how is that managed by these in-memory databases?
Well, it's ignored. That's one of the beauties, I suppose. It depends how much you need the business logic inside the database. We're talking things like versioning and archiving, which are great, but also have their flaws and might actually be better managed by a database rather than by a application on top of a database.
Good point.
The other advantage of keeping it within the enterprise is you're actually more likely to get skilled people, I would have thought.
Go on, carry on.
Well, Well, you're more likely to get someone who's a business analyst who's currently doing reporting and then going, oh, I'm going to play with the map.
I see what you mean.
You're not going to get someone who's doing a map going, oh, I'm going to play with BI.
Well, this gets back to our argument that you need to be much wider in your kind of involvement in the industry. You shouldn't just be doing maps. You need to be doing a wider range of subjects to make yourself more employable.
Well, I think it all comes down to you need to be customer driven, and not just playing with the toys because they're cool, and finding problems for the solutions you've made.
Yeah, but how many university courses are customer driven?
Well, none, but we're getting into the philosophy of what a university should be.
Yeah.
But I would also like to point out, though, that there's still a massive place for the specialist. We've spoken to Uber, who went and hired a whole lot of spatial specialists.
They did indeed, yeah.
Because they realized the other analysts they had, the non-spatial specialists, the specialists and specialists, the unspecialists. There we go. The unspecialists weren't able to do as good a job because mapping is special.
It's such a circular conversation, this, I think, because, I think we've probably said spatial is special as many times as we've said spatial isn't special. And I think it's really to do with the context of the conversation of the particular problem. I tend to agree that, oftentimes spatial isn't special. It should just be another data format, but on other occasions, I think it's the knowledge that people have in the spatial industry and how they can apply that knowledge to particular customer issues that others don't have because they're not thinking in that way.
I also think it's that what Google showed us when Google did maps was the point and polygon is no longer special.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the domain of the specialist. But now
also
it's
did
not.
Routing or routing.
Well, that still is special because you can do a basic one with Google or here or other people, but Chris, doesn't your company make a business out of doing customer focused routing or routing?
Yeah, sure, but I think this gets back to the point in polygon yet again. It's that kind of very basic functionality that you would get on Google Maps. How do I get from A to B? That Google is perfectly capable of doing, and why wouldn't you use them?
But so my point was, then once this is just common language, you're still missing a bunch of other tools.
Mm-hmm.
Like at work, they've been completely amazed that you can look at a satellite image or aerial photo and work out where the vegetation is. That's really 101 stuff. Well, maybe 201, depending on a university. But the different types of analysis that can be done, we play export to shapefile. There's 1,000,001 tools in there. Not all of them are useful analyst tools.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole lot of analytical tools there that require a spatialist.
Yes, agreed.
So are we summarizing that spatial is special and special is not spatial?
I mean, if we do that, I think we've left our listeners with a really clear directive that it's both special and not special all at the very same time.
Yeah. So what we're really saying is beware of blog posts and account managers.
We should always be aware of account managers.
Yeah. But if you can get them to take you out to lunch, that's good.
Yeah, that is true.
So come on, Chris, summarize this. What are we saying? Beware the enterprise. It's not all curried sausages and beer.
I don't think anybody's going to get that curried sausages and beer reference unless they happen to be listening in on our conversation. earlier on. But yes, I think what we're saying is that the enterprise still doesn't have all the answers.
No, but be aware, be wary, be knowledgeable of the enterprise.
Yeah, definitely need to understand it, like all of these things, right?
But don't go defending your GIS system and putting it in a silo, because the enterprise will get you.
Yeah, indeed. It's about making sure that your investment in your system enables you to reach the widest number of people possible.
Yeah, and it's not actually your investment in the system, it's your investment in solving other people's problems.
Sure. Yeah.
So don't cling too tightly to it.
Be willing to move. Well, be flexible, okay? I think that's the important point. Is that it's not about sticking necessarily to the thing that you've got. It's about making sure that you answer your client's problems or your customer's problems, however that problem needs to be answered.
Yeah, in the context of what your company's got to hand.
Yeah.
And also don't forget that you can always put integration on your CV, which is a very useful thing to put.
It is indeed.
There's certain 3 letters that really make CVs pop.
Yep.
Anything else you'd like to sum up with, Chris?
No, I think we've had multiple attempts at summing up there. And what we're really saying is that spatial is special when it needs to be special. And that
don't hang on to it because it's not that special.
Yeah, I think we've really cleared that up.
Yeah, I don't think you could get much clearer than that.
You can't if you like to try.
So is that an opacity of 100 or a opacity of 0, Chris?
I don't know.
I believe it's an opacity of 100.
Is it? Or is it?
Yeah. Oh, no. No, it's a capacity of 0, isn't it? Okay, we're going to need people's help on this.
Well, lucky it's a live stream. Any minute now, we'll probably have somebody popping through with the answer.
Apart from live chats, unavailable.
Oh, damn, why not?
I don't know. But that's the podcast, Chris, or the vlogcast.
Yeah, no export to shapefile this week because we've had so many technical issues this evening that it's now really late.
It is. But we are getting quite a lot of mail, or say mail, people reaching out to us, which is brilliant, and we are trying to reach back. Is that the right context? Yep.
Sure.
And that, hit us up on the Instagram, the Twitter, the Gmail, the Facebook, however you want to get in touch with us, the webpage.
Yes, please.
And we'd love to hear from you. If you've got comments about opacity or Chris's drinking problem.
It's not a problem. And with that, I'm going to play the outro. And because we're on video, the people are still watching the video. I think they're going to see you busting some moves there, Mark, I imagine.
Oh, maybe a little head wobble.
Okay, well, let's enjoy that moment.